Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is having a good week. And it's going to be a busy weekend, I think. As near as I can tell, the annual meeting is tomorrow, Saturday, the 3rd. And we've been hearing rumors that there is an announcement. So as soon as that is available, we will let everyone know. And yeah, I'm having some orange juice. Get my vitamin C. There is a new Elders Manual that just came out. And it's interesting because there was a new one that was updated October of 2019. And then it was updated in April, and now it's updated again. There's some interesting things in there that I would like to cover. Now, there 2 letters came with it. Thank you so much, Atlantis, for all of this. Appreciate it very much. Now, in the addendum to the Shepherd the Flock of God book, it's interesting that they're talking about legal matters, communication with immigration agencies, and it's talking about publishers may request assistance and may need to have the support of the body of elders in connection with an immigration matter. When publishers seek advice concerning immigration laws, it is good to remember that an elder's comment should be limited to spiritual issues. Now, it's interesting because this appears to be a CYA for Watchtower, and I'm wondering if they've gotten in trouble now with ICE, which is the immigration here organization here in the United States, because I know they've been cracking down on illegal, immigrants. Now, on page 10, the United States Oath of Naturalization. Now, in the oath that they take to become U.S. citizens, they have to swear that they will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law. And Watchtower has in paragraph 35 that you can actually contact them, the USCIS, and ask for you can get a church letter. So I'm assuming you can go to your elders and get a church letter. It must be on official church stationery, state you are currently a member in good standing, and it must state the church's official position on the bearing of arms. This letter must be signed by the minister or deacon. That's interesting that they're covering all of this. A sample letter is available in the forms section. Of course they've got a form for it. They got a form for everything else. Then number 37, legal matters, congregation, organizational documents. These documents describe how a corporation or association is organized and operated. Congregations that have not incorporated, including those using trustees to hold title to real property, should adopt articles of association and bylaws. Sample articles of association and bylaws have been provided in the forms section. It's interesting how they're getting so legalized and all of this. Makes you wonder. There's some more stuff about legal matters, donation acknowledgement letters. Yeah, it's interesting. Renting vehicles. Now, it's interesting here on page 13, legal matters, undocumented aliens. They actually use those words, which we know is no longer PC. And it's interesting, they say that elders may inquire of the branch office if further direction is needed. So they're talking about this. Interesting. And they have a public information desk, just some announcements about that. Now, I'm going to put the link down below because avoidjw.org has the new Elders Manual and all of these documents. So grab them while you can. Okay. Now, it's interesting because we got the October announcements also. Wow. And they're talking about the revised Shepherd book. Now in these announcements, they have a list of changes, an overview of significant textual changes. Some is like the transfer of regular pioneers and use of the congregation person record, hospital liaison. Now this was interesting. Chapter 12, paragraph 39.2 added bowing before shrines or idols to the list of activities that could constitute interfaith. So are they having a problem with some JWs doing this? Makes you wonder. Chapter 14, we know that's the child abuse chapter. Paragraphs 26 and 27 clarified that if an individual has been accused of child sexual abuse, moves away to live at a second residence on a regular basis, 2 elders from the congregation that the individual has moved from and 2 elders from the congregation that the individual has moved to should immediately call the legal department. Interesting. Chapter 20 clarified that congregations may make use of broadcasting systems to benefit interested persons who are unable to attend local congregation meetings. Now, I have heard, and it's even on jw.org, that some of these other countries are making use of local TV stations and broadcasting, their meetings. Updated direction regarding caring for expenses related to Kingdom Hall maintenance and repair. Of course, it's congregation's responsibility. And it's interesting because in a previous elders letter, they were telling the elders to go in and check these Kingdom Halls that are all closed up, air them out if they need to, run the air for a little bit, get some fresh air circulating because of a mold problem. So they are concerned about their buildings, and they don't know how long it's going to be. Yeah. Now this was interesting because chapter 27 is talking about engagements in marriage. And they've inserted a new paragraph on unilateral breaking of engagements to marry. And I wanted to read this paragraph. Generally, there's no need for elders to inquire into the unilateral breaking of engagements to marry unless the one who broke the engagement is being used in an exemplary way and a complaint is lodged by the other party or a number of people in the congregation are disturbed about the matter, and this has resulted in a lack of respect for the one breaking the engagement. And I know of several cases, where when a couple is just dating, they're not even engaged. And I know Mike's mom, she was upset by some dating that was going on that she thought they were engaged. And she was really upset and talking to everybody about it. In determining whether the individual is disqualified from being used in an exemplary way, the elders will need to use good judgment. Were there valid reasons for breaking the engagement, or does the person take the engagement agreement lightly? Has the congregation in general lost respect for the individual? And like I said before, this is nobody's business. This is between the couple. And like we've mentioned before, how is this anybody's business? If a couple is engaged and decides to break it up, how is that anybody's business? Oy vey. And then chapter 28, clarified direction on a publisher in prison for maintaining his Christian integrity being appointed to serve as an auxiliary pioneer, regular pioneer, ministerial servant, or an elder. Confidential records. Please take steps to ensure that confidential records are kept secure. If the Kingdom Hall is vulnerable to theft or vandalism, it may be wise to secure the confidential files in the home of an elder. And then they're reminding everybody about the midweek meeting on neutrality, October 26, 2020. And then that is the only announcement for congregations about that. Now, the Shepherd of Flock of God book It's interesting that it's copyrighted in the Republic of Korea again. And then right underneath that, publishers, the Christian Congregation Jehovah's Witnesses, Wallkill, New York. How the Korean government can allow them to do this is beyond me. Now, in the Elders Manual, here in chapter 12, I just wanted to mention something. Now, I haven't had time to go back and look at the old Elders Manual, but, I did catch this. Point number 4, chapter 12, determining whether a judicial committee should be formed. Point number 4, misuse of tobacco or marijuana and abuse of medical, illicit, or addictive drugs. I'm going to read this paragraph. Elders should use good judgment in weighing the circumstances and extent of the wrongdoing so as to determine whether a judicial committee should be formed. For example, 1 or 2 elders may handle matters by means of counsel if a Christian abused an addictive drug or smoked cigarettes on 1 or 2 occasions and the matter is not widely known. The coordinator of the body of elders should be informed. However, a judicial committee is required for a practice of abusing addictive drugs, including betel nut, marijuana, and tobacco. Now, it's interesting. The coordinator of the body of elders should be informed. Didn't Gillies testify? I seem to remember in the recent past that they said that they don't go inform the other elders of something that is kept confidential. Now, this was the interesting part. If a medical doctor authorizes and or prescribes marijuana for a medical problem, a Christian may choose to make use of this form of treatment, although no judicial action would be taken. If an issue arises in the congregation, the elders will need to determine whether the individual can be viewed as exemplary. The proper use of addictive drugs under medical supervision, such as for pain management, would not require judicial review. When questions arise, consult the service department. So, in other words, if you have your marijuana medical card and the elders find out, if it has been prescribed by a doctor, it's okay, as long as it's not widely known. So in other words, Jehovah's Witnesses now can get their medical marijuana card, but just don't tell anybody in the congregation. That was interesting. Number 5, extreme physical uncleanness. Wow. They can even give a warning talk. If your person or house or yard or car or anything, extreme uncleanness. Yeah. Good thing I'm no longer a JW, because they'd see my car parked in the Kingdom Hall parking lot and I'd be hauled in the back room. Of course, they, have all of this about brazen conduct. But I want to go down to point number 24 here. Fraud or slander. Fraud is defined as the intentional use of deception, trickery, or perversion of truth for the purpose of inducing another to part with some valuable thing belonging to him or to give up a legal right. Slander is defined as a false report meant to do harm to the good name and reputation of another. Such talk is generally malicious. Slander is not identical to negative gossip. Negative gossip may be true. Slander is always false. Negative gossip requires counsel but not judicial action. So I want to call a judicial hearing because it is malicious. Watchtower and the governing body and most of Jehovah's Witnesses have been slandering all of us that leave. Look at Aunt Mo's talk he just gave for the morning worship, that we're all going to be destroyed by Jehovah. That is malicious slander and saying apostate lies and half-truths. All of us try our best to put true information out there. You know, if we read it from Watchtower's old literature or even their new literature, that is not lies and half-truths. That is the truth. You know, this is why we have our library here behind us. Because when we bring this stuff out, we're exposing what Watchtower has said and printed in the past. These are not apostate lies and half-truths. So, slander. We're being slandered. And Watchtower is committing libel also. Point number 25. If asked, elders could participate in step 2, but they do not represent the body of elders. They do not represent the body of elders? Interesting. Now, I'm going to skip down here to... It's interesting, they have a section on here, JW Stream. But anyway, this is the new updated one. Like I said, I will put the link down below to this. And I just want to mention that Atlantis also sent me a link to an article, and I'm going to put it down below. Major U.S. diocese becomes largest to file for bankruptcy after 200 sexual abuse lawsuits. A Roman Catholic diocese in suburban New York became the largest American diocese to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy Thursday after being named in more than 200 sexual abuse lawsuits. You know, and like we've always said, this reporting is unfair, unbalanced, because I know they won't, the news media will not report all of Jehovah's Witnesses' lawsuits that have been filed against them. But then again, you know, here's the Catholic Church again, and they're filing for bankruptcy. So is it just a matter of time before some of these other organizations? We already know the Boy Scouts, you know, they've had hundreds of abuse claims filed against them. And every day on the television, they're having commercials for lawyers saying if you were abused in scouting, call us, because you've only got until, I think it's like November something, to file. So, you know, this is interesting. This is interesting. The Diocese of Rockville Center on Long Island could not afford to litigate so many cases, Bishop John Oliver Bayers said in a video posted to the diocese website. Its finances had become depleted after compensating about 320 survivors of clergy sexual abuse since 2017 as part of an independent reconciliation compensation program, he added. See, now I did a video a while back that another diocese had filed bankruptcy because this Catholic fund is being depleted by so many abuse cases. What became clear was that the diocese was not going to be able to continue to carry out its spiritual, charitable, and educational missions if it were to continue to shoulder the increasingly heavy burden of litigation expenses associated with these cases, Barr said in the video, adding that the COVID-19 pandemic added to the severe financial burden. So an article I mentioned a while back where they were getting billions of dollars from the government for their COVID, you know, charitable work. What happened to those billions of dollars? I feel these guys are just as bad as Jehovah's Witnesses. Barr said that diocese ministries would continue and that the filing would not affect employee wages or benefit programs. Parishes and schools are separate legal entities and expected to operate as normal. Rockville Center is the 8th largest diocese in the country, serving more than 1.4 million Catholics, according to Georgetown University's Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate. The filing makes it the largest American diocese to declare bankruptcy so far. And like we've mentioned, there are several dioceses here in New Mexico that have already filed for bankruptcy. The wave of lawsuits came after New York increased the statute of limitations in early 2019, creating a one-year window called child sexual abuse victims of any age could pursue their cases. The Child Victims Act also raised the maximum reporting age for child sexual abuse from 23 to 28 in criminal cases and up to 55 in civil cases. The Catholic Diocese of Buffalo filed for Chapter 11 federal bankruptcy protection in February, and also citing its primary aim was to resolve lawsuits brought under the new law. The Buffalo Diocese cited about 250 sexual abuse lawsuits in its bankruptcy petition, adding that it anticipates that in excess of 400 individuals may assert abuse claim. The Archdiocese of New York, the second largest diocese in the nation, came under fire in 2019 when it identified 120 priests or deacons accused of sexually abusing a child or having child pornography. Yeah, let the truth come out. Same thing with Watchtower. Let the truth come out. And all these others, the Mormons, the Seventh-day Adventists, the Baptists, all of them, Lutheran, Methodist. Let the light shine on them. So thank you so much for watching, and I have been reading some of the comments under our videos. Thank you so much, everyone, for all of the positive, well wishes and comments. And we've been really busy with our side business. Well, I should say now, since it's our main business. Thankfully, we have been keeping very busy with that, and so we appreciate all the love and support. And like I said, I'm going to put the link down below to this, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and since it's Friday, have a wonderful and safe weekend. Bye.